Hey there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, anything I say is alleged and in my very, very personal opinion. This is for entertainment purposes only. None of this is personal. The Copyright Act of 1976 is in the description box. Some meat and potatoes, some housekeeping items. It is free to follow me. Free to follow me on this channel, Anonymous Tea. Free to follow me on my other channel, Anonymous Tea Podcast. There is new content over there. Follow me on the Tickety Talk at Anonymous Tea Podcast. Free to follow me on the Instagram. On the Instagram, he's at Anonymous Reality Tea. Free to share everywhere. Free to like the video so it gets out to the algorithm. Free to share with your family, your friends, and your foes, and coming or going, hit the like button. So today I wanted to talk about Martell's mentee, Ralph from Real Housewives of Atlanta. First thing I want to get to is a couple of things regarding the mid-season trailer. So one thing I forgot to talk about was this Shamia crying thing. So it looks like she's crying because of Portia, but actually Portia is the one consoling Shamia. She's like right next to her. So I feel like there's some manipulation going on in the trailer, and the reason I'm hesitant on this quote-unquote Portia Shamia fallout is because I feel kind of the same way I do with these people, with these cheaters that stay with these cheaters on these reality shows, is that there's been plenty of things that have happened amongst Portia and Shamia's friendship over the years, over the seasons at Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I feel like at this point, like, you know what you're dealing with, right? You know what you're signing up for. And you were willing to admit that you set Portia and Simon up, even though he allegedly was married. You were laughing when Portia was making the jokes about bleeping Angela Oakley's husband. And you allegedly were adding commentary that you allegedly, because you're in that world, you know, with the Atlanta Hawks and stuff, that you allegedly knew some women that Charles Oakley allegedly was cheating with. And, you know, and you're friends a lot of times with people who don't like Portia, who don't see it for Portia. And then we saw in the mid-season trailer that Britt is alleging that Shamia was sharing text messages between Portia and herself. So my thing is, and I guess the thing of it too for me is that a lot of this was filmed last summer, right? And we've known since the beginning of this year, there have been several types of birthday parties, baby showers, get-togethers that we've seen both Portia and Shamia be at, whether it is RL's wife Lena's baby shower, whether it is, I can't remember her name, but she had some type of sleepover slumber party where, you know, Shamia and Portia were all getting along, were dancing, singing together and everything else. We had, of course, Pilar's birthday. We had Portia, they were all trying to do the boots on the ground line dance with Shamia and Tiny Harris and everything else. Like we've seen a lot of them, you know, at these same events all the time. And there's a part of me that feels like, is this really a real, you know, friendship breakdown, or is this another situation like this Drew and Dennis thing where this is doing Portia a solid to give her something else to talk about, because she clearly doesn't want to talk about Simon, she clearly doesn't want to talk about the divorce, she clearly doesn't want to talk about how they got together. So instigating other mess, alluding to whether or not she'll bleep somebody's husband, or alluding to, you know, there's issues in her so-called friendship with Shamia. But then when Shamia initially was doing interviews, everything was all on the up and up. Everything was all good with Portia, you know, and it was all like, oh, well, I got to watch what I say in this Angela Yee interview because I don't want Portia to get mad at me or her to call me and text me and say I said this and that. And then Portia wasn't saying anything at all in her press run. And then initially she started to say, well, I didn't promote Shamia's song because she didn't send me anything. But then she switched up and was like, go promote Shamia's song. So I just think with like the backlash and everything else, like this isn't going the way that I think people are expecting it to. So I'm just gonna wait and see this out and see what this is really about. Also, the Mia rumors, y'all. It's not happening, because according to TV Deeds, allegedly Mia was fired from Real Housewives of Potomac. So she's just trying to attach herself to Real Housewives of Atlanta, just like the Maritime Medicine ladies do, for clout and attention, because they know that Real Housewives of Atlanta, you know, is going to get the people talking. So now we got to get to Martell's mentee, Ralph. And I kind of, I didn't really speak on a lot of it in the mid-season trailer, but I wanted to just touch on a couple of things that had happened. One was, in the trailer, Drew's upset because I guess Ralph had changed the locks on the house and she was locked out of the house. No. See, this is all the things that Martell would have liked to have happened. He would have liked to have a situation where him and Mel were still in the house with those 4 kids, and anytime Mel had to go on any of these speaking engagements, acting gigs, or singing whatever, he could lock the doors, he could try to claim, you know, royalties or checks from anything Mel was doing because they were still, you know, married, right? And I see the game, I see the play that Ralph is doing, right? He's looking at this like, oh, you know, you're doing all of this, you're trying to do all that. Even if I did you wrong, even if I cheated, even if I won't tell you what's going on in Tampa, even though if I'm allegedly hiding money, even if I'm allegedly stealing money, I am still going to manipulate the situation to make you look bad, to make you look like you're the bad guy. And so, nonetheless, you're locking her out. Now you're allegedly trying to get claim to her LLC. And this is why I was not hyping up the fact that Drew was working with Dennis. Because I mentioned in a few videos, I said, the best thing Mel did was Mel understood the assignment to dissolve those businesses that her and Martell both had their names on, those LLCs, and dissolve everything and rename, come out with new names, new companies, and everything else after the divorce. So he cannot, you know, make claim to anything. She didn't release any music until after the divorce. She came out with 7th Avenue Beauty after the divorce, even though it was previously Embrace Beauty. But, you know, she had all of that figured out. That I know what type of time this ninja's on. He's gonna try to you know, get claim on this and try to, you know, get money off of this, because I know he's no good and he's a broke dude. So nonetheless, you know, I knew Ralph was gonna sit back, and I knew he initially was gonna complain about being used or whatever for the songs that Drew's coming out with that we know is about him. And eventually he's going to be like, well, we're still legally married, so I'm entitled to the proceeds. I'm entitled to the royalties and all of this and all of that. And then he may even try to do a spin and try to allege that Drew is doing something nefarious with Dennis just to be petty, just to be messy, and all of the things, y'all. Like I don't trust it at all. I don't trust it one bit. But I knew that this was happening. That's why I was like, I really don't feel good about any of this, because I don't think the storyline is a good idea for Drew, because it's going to be nothing but retaliation from Ralph. See, y'all were concerned about Portia's reaction, but Portia's the type who's going to be tit for tat. If you're going to film with my baby daddy, I'm going to film with your baby daddy. That's who she is. So nonetheless, I knew that was coming a mile away. That her and Shamia were going to end up in some scenes with Ralph when it was all said and done. But nonetheless, I don't understand Drew. Like, if you really want to be done with this dude, if this divorce storyline is for real, why couldn't we wait until all of the divorce stuff was done and then release the music, so he cannot make any claims to it, to any profits, any proceeds, any paychecks you're getting from any concerts or shows or things like that. And then most importantly, if y'all are really getting a divorce for real, this living in the basement nonsense was never going to work. Eventually, he was going to find a way to work his way up and through that house. Y'all got to get y'all own separate residences if y'all really serious about this divorce life. I don't know the situation where we're still going to be living together. No. That's a conflict of interest. Because you're still keeping up on what I got going on and what I've got doing, and you can use that against me. Even if you are in the basement. That was my whole thing. It made zero sense to me. Because my thing is, you can clock what I'm doing, right? You can clock, oh, if you're saying I need money for this, but you're going out on trips every weekend, or you're saying I need money for this, but I know you're making money now doing music, doing acting, doing this TV show, I'm entitled to it. And you got me I'm filming confessional scenes, so I should be entitled to the Real Housewives of Atlanta paycheck. I already know what this is. Because unlike, Love and Marriage Huntsville, these husbands don't get paid on Real Housewives of Atlanta. So I know Martell was like, use this to your advantage. Try to get as much camera time and as much screen time as you can and leverage that in the divorce proceedings so that you can get money and you can argue a certain type of lifestyle. Now, ultimately, we don't know who is more wealthier compared to, Ralph versus Drew. I know Drew's been in this business for a long time. However, let's keep it a buck. Like, these black actors and actresses are not getting the Denzel Washington type of money or the Viola Davis type of money or this and that, right? Especially if it's small roles or if it's cameo roles and different stuff, right? So we got to be realistic. Yes, you might have been working consistently, but we're not talking about the Will Smiths of the world where you're getting $30 million a movie. Like that's not the type of level I don't think that, we're talking about. But I would love to know what the, actual net worth is, like the true net worth between Ralph and Drew, if there really is no prenup. So I just wanted to touch on that because I was like, I know you lying. And I knew this was going to happen. That's why I was like, the issue with the music and all this other stuff with Dennis, it's really not Portia. Y'all shouldn't be concerned about Portia. Ralph is going to be the one that's going to retaliate. Like I said, Portia is going to do Portia. Portia's going to make a mountain out of a molehill, but ultimately she was going to get her get back and film with Ralph. Or do something else. Or film with somebody else that didn't like Drew. That's how she was going to move. So that didn't shock me. But what's shocking is people are shocked that Ralph is Martell's mentee. When I already knew what type of time he was. I knew that live that they did where Martell on camera was trying to tell Ralph that he needs to do everything he can to keep his family. There might have been some truth into that. But ultimately, he wanted Ralph to go for the gold. He wanted Ralph to go for the gold, in which Martell was unable to do. So there is that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.